Blog Talk Radio.
Check out the full episode of this on MENTELLECT Patreon.
I'm pretty sure many of you, this is the first time, I'm pretty sure all of you, this is the first time you ever heard of a solar shield of righteousness. What is the solar shield of righteousness? It's what the elect will form. It is what the elect who are being gathered today in this three-dimensional space will form. A solar shield of righteousness. You know the first people that formed the solar shield of righteousness, do you know who they were? You know who the first people was who formed the solar shield of righteousness? The Nation of Islam, under the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He told, it was a sister who told a story about how the Nation of Islam, just back in the early days in the 30s, that the Muslims got into it because they used to be really radical back then. The Nation of Islam, the Muslims back then, they was very radical. They wasn't afraid, and they also wasn't afraid. And you know, Elijah Muhammad pumped some strong power into those brothers and sisters. They were brave men and brave women. That American energy started coming, that American Indian energy started coming up in our people. Whenever you see our people coming together and they ready to fight in the name of righteousness, that's that American Indian soul coming out of our people. That's the American indigenous soul coming out of our people. The Indian soul and whatnot. That righteous soul. You see. It was a sister who told a story. She said that, you know, when the Messenger and Fard, they started University of Islam to educate the children in the nation because they wanted to pull their children out of public school for being miseducated, basically programmed to be Negroes. So, you know, the Detroit school system, I think it was in Detroit, Chicago, I want to say Detroit, the Messenger was out there, said the police going to try to force them, it was either over the Truancy Act, they make it. But anyway, so there was a fight that broke out in the courtroom and getting it in with them. They were fighting with them for real. They weren't letting them just like, you know, like how they give this image of so-called back then it was cowards. They was just letting these handle them any kind of way they want. Hell no. No. And then when the went back to get their after they got their clock clean, they went to go get their and they fired on the Muslims and said the wouldn't fire. The wouldn't fire. They tried it again, fired and wouldn't fire. They couldn't shoot at the first. And the lady was telling, she told me, said, and the judge, he jumped up and he got upset. He had a heart attack on his hand. You see, that's what happens with our people when we are doing the right thing, when we are being righteous people. That's what happens with our people.
For the complete broadcast, you're going to have to go to MENTELLECT Patreon. Go to MENTELLECT Patreon for this complete broadcast because it will not, I guarantee you, it will not be on YouTube. Subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon and join the American Republic.
Subscribe to Ethnic American channel. Subscribe to MENTELLECT Patreon and subscribe to the new women's channel, MENTELLECT Presents the Women's Channel on Patreon.
And subscribe to High and Mighty Talks on YouTube with NUBEN MENKARAYZZ.